All right, we are live. We have dropped some pre-recorded mock drafts the last 2 days. Superflex mock yesterday, a one quarterback mock today, post NFL draft. So we figured we'd hop on a live stream here, hash out some questions. I'm sure you guys have a lot of them for your dynasty rookie drafts that you got probably ongoing right now. Maybe you have them starting later this week. Whatever the case is, we're going to rip through some questions. We are going to do some mock drafts. In the background here, I dropped the chat to get in the mock draft in the YouTube chat. A lot of you guys always asking how to get in these. It's in the YouTube chat. So the sooner you get in here, the sooner you will have a spot, and we can rip through some mock drafts. So while people are filing in as the draft kind of fills up, I'll let you talk about some of the moves you've made today. We both made some moves in a lot of our leagues.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of our rookie drafts are starting today, started at about noon today. So I've been pretty active, man. A lot of my teams have a ton of picks in these drafts. So I've basically been wheeling and dealing. In one of our leagues, actually, together, I'm more of in a contending position. You're more so in that rebuilding position. So we actually agreed to a big Barkley blockbuster.
Yeah. I traded Danny Saquon Barkley for the 108, 301, and 303, I think it was.
303, 304, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So 2 early thirds in the 108. From my perspective, I'm really I was competing the last 2 years, didn't end up winning the championship, came in second 2 years ago, bounced in the first round of the playoffs last year. Such is life. But I'm trying to rebuild now. I sold off Mark Andrews as like the first piece of my rebuild. Then I'm, trying to sell off guys like Barkley, who was a big time, needle mover on my roster. Now I got to sell off some of my wide receivers, but getting 108, which should guarantee me one of those receivers, Addison or QJ. And then, I can take some dart throws in the third round, maybe on like a Jaden Reed, some tight ends, maybe some running backs in ambiguous situations, whatever.
Speaking of that 108, I actually believe you're on the clock with it right now, too.
Am I on the clock? I think I'm on the clock. I believe so. In no flocking, I think I'm on the clock at 102 as well.
I mean, we know who you're going to go with at the 102. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's in the chat right now, it literally Spicy Hot goes, hey, tell Bush to make his pick. I don't even know what league you're talking about right
That's the 108 one. That's the 108 one.
I also made another trade that I really quickly wanted to break down here. I traded away with Nathan in the chat. He might be in here right now, but we made a trade in which league was this? In our best ball league, I think, where I traded away 102. I was in a position where I already had Kyler Watson in 104, which I presumably will get one of Richardson or Stroud at. Yep. And then I traded away 102 basically, and 111 and 212 and Calvin Ridley for Chris Olave, 108, 208, and what I would say is a mid-projected first. His team is okay, but I didn't think it was like a superstar contender. So I'm just going to say, it's a mid type of first there. So I really like that move for me. But looks like this draft is probably full, so we can probably get right into it. If you want to share your screen, or I can share my screen, doesn't really matter. I'll throw mine on. It's already in here.
That works. Yeah, absolutely. So we got this thing full, all 12 people. Now we will get rolling. Draft order, randomized teams, and boom, you got the 101.
Never happens. Literally never happens. So I'll zoom in a little bit here. I mean, you guys know where I'm going with it. We're going Bijan Robinson. We've already talked about kind of the implications of like why you want to go Bijan, because I know there is a hive out there that's talking about taking Anthony Richardson first overall. I understand it. If we were to redraft this team, this rookie draft in 5 years from now, and we know that Anthony Richardson was a hit, he probably would be the first overall pick. But there is no guarantees in Dynasty fantasy football. So it's all about making calculated risks. And to me, Anthony Richardson at 101 is not a calculated risk. It's an unnecessary risk, in my opinion. You don't need to take him at 101 also. So even if you believe he's the best, player in this draft, has the highest ceiling in this draft, and you pick 101, you should then trade down to 102 at the very latest, maybe just to secure that you get him, maybe even 103 if you know somebody's going to take Bryce Young at 102.
Exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned that, right? A video that will be dropping this week where I basically went through exploiting market values in your rookie drafts. It is fine to have conviction, especially when it's within tiers. If you have a conviction between a value tier, especially on the macro market, that's fine. Take that player. But when it comes to the 101 versus the 102, we know how much the market favors Bijan Robinson right now. We also know that Bijan Robinson is going to go in the first round right now in a lot of your startups, whether it's the 111, the 112. At worst, he's going to be an early second round pick. As much as I love Anthony Richardson, he's still going to be mostly a mid to late second round startup pick. So if that's the case, if you really want Anthony Richardson, Trade down from the 101 to the 102, get value on top. In some leagues, with how high the market is for Bijan, you might be able to get, the 107 on top, the 105 on top, maybe a 24 first on top. There's value to be had, especially if you are extremely high on Anthony Richardson, you see that ceiling and you want him on your team. Try to get that bit of value added, because at the end of the day here, we're all about accumulating value over at MSC.
Yeah, and again, just because you believe Richardson's 101 doesn't mean you have to unnecessarily take him 101 and expose yourself to the risk that is unnecessary. You could have just traded down, like you said, even if you're pocketing minimal gains, right? If you were going to take him at 101, it's worth it for you to go down to 102, even if you're just pocketing a receiver that you like or a second round pick or something like that. You might as well take the profit when you can get it if you were already going to take him at 101 anyways, even though some people in your league might be like, you sold low on Bijan or whatever, but it's like, I wasn't even going to take Bijan, so it makes sense for you to go down. So we got a lot of people in the chat right now. Brett says, what's up, boys? Wild draft. Can't wait to see how everyone pans out. I think one thing I really want to talk about is the area of the draft that you're in right now. Yes. And let's actually stop being like pussies, honestly. Like, I'm going to just say it right now. I see a lot of people in the fantasy industry just saying, take whoever you want. There's no consensus. And while that is true, let's actually talk with some conviction here. Who are you taking at 110?
It's Will Levis. It's pretty easily Will Levis for me, because the way I look at it, like, yeah, would we have preferred if he had gone, first of all, if he had gone top 10, you could make the case he's a for sure top 8 overall pick in this draft. If anything, obviously the overall leash that he'll have with Tennessee is less than being a second versus a first, but he still went 33rd overall. They ended up getting a blue chip offensive tackle prospect. They still have Treylon Burks on that team. And Will Levis, as we know, out of everybody in this range, including Zach Charbonnet, including Devon Achane, including the tight ends, he's the only one that has a real path to being, this time next year, a top 4 round, maybe even top 3 round startup pick, if things turn out right. So I get it. He's volatile. It's risky. But if I'm taking the chance on a young quarterback at the 110, I would rather swing for the home run there every single time, personally.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, they also picked a tackle at 11 overall in Tennessee there. So they bolster the offensive line. I think they're going to let Skoronski try and play left tackle. He's got shorter arms, but I understand it. Yeah, I want to put an end to the whole, like, yes, 110 is an area of the draft that nobody knows what to do with. You could go Charbonnet. You could go Levis. You could go Achane. You could go with one of the tight ends. You could go maybe with Mingo if you really loved Mingo or something like that. I don't want to just say, take whoever you want, because I think our job here is to actually tell you who to pick. If you want to believe us, that's up to you, obviously. But our job here, I am auto drafting. So I'm fired. I mean,
that's who you would have gone
firing myself.
That's who you would have gone with.
It literally is who I would have gone with, but I'm literally firing myself, and the whole chat's going to make fun of me now, which is hilarious. But Michael Mayer, again, I would have picked him there, so it's no harm, no foul. To me, he is the easy pick, because when we're in this area of the draft, again, Levis, second round draft capital quarterback, Zach Charbonnet, subpar landing spot, but he's a good player. Dalton Kincaid, I understand it there. Buffalo landing spot, good prospect. Devon Achane, undersized running back. Jonathan Mingo, not a great wide receiver prospect. Just give me the guy that back in 2020 we were talking about as potentially one of the best prospects in this draft. Michael Mayer did not disappoint throughout his college football career, and I think he goes to a landing spot now that knows how to use tight ends. They had Darren Waller. It's a Josh McDaniels scheme that obviously would have used Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez and all the Patriots tight ends that we know of over the past couple of years. So I think Mayer, being as good of a prospect as he was, going to a quarterback who's used his tight ends. Jimmy Garoppolo, of course, used George Kittle many years in San Francisco. So I think it's a great landing spot. And again, I would have picked him if I didn't get autoed. Yep.
No, I agree with you there. I'm about to be back on the clock. And by the way, although I have the conviction with Levis at the 110, I will acknowledge that from 109 to 110, like, yes, I would pretty convincingly rather the first round wide receiver. And I mean, heck, in this mock particularly, JSN went at 8th overall. That just kind of goes to show you, as much as like I personally would have JSN in the 6th range, but Addison and QJ, like Addison, QJ, JSN, Gibbs, if you end up with any of these skill position players, you are absolutely laughing. If you end up in the top 4, you get a quarterback, or you just so happen to get the best running back prospect we've seen since Saquon Barkley. So like we kind of mentioned, the top of the draft this year is still very strong.
Yeah, no, it makes some sense. I think it's interesting too that I'm starting to see this more often. That I thought JSN slam dunk wide receiver 1 in this class, no matter where he went. It's a little surprising to me that a lot of people, not just like this particular draft, but I'm seeing analysts that I trust say that JSN's no longer wide receiver 1. And of course, if their take before the draft was that it was JSN and everybody else at wide receiver, then that course of action would be a mistake. They should not adjust JSN down just because of a bad landing spot, quote unquote, because people did it. It was CeeDee Lamb and obviously regretted it. People did it with Justin Jefferson and probably regretted it. People did it with, even Rashad Bateman, maybe didn't regret it yet, but like players like that, Garrett Wilson, of course, last year, people weren't a fan of the Jets landing spot. I got him at 108 in one of my leagues. I'm sure some people will get JSN at 108 in some of their leagues this year as a result. So I'm on the board here. I'm not going to auto again. As far as like conviction is concerned, Chase Brown pre-draft would have been a big time value for me at this spot, as would have been Jaden Reed. So again, we want to have conviction. We want to know and trust our pre-draft evaluations to some degree, but I got a second round receiver versus a fifth round running back, a second round receiver who I liked pre-draft. So I will take Jaden Reed here at 3-1. I'll try and rip through some comments as well while we wait for some picks
quick
here.
Super chat here from Tyler. He says, Ritter in the 201 or the 105, 12-team Superflex at M Premium. I get it. Ritter is leaving the draft as a starting quarterback, but it's the 105 pretty convincingly. Because if you're looking at the 105, you're guaranteed a player selected within the first 3 rounds of a startup.
Yeah, exactly. You might get a quarterback with that pick if somebody goes Gibbs or JSN or whoever before the quarterbacks are off the board. Maybe Stroud falls there or something like that. Or you just get your choice of skill position players, Gibbs, JSN, whoever you like the most in that spot. J22 says, what's up, boys? 1, 2, and 1, 4 in this draft. I'm in a lot of drafts where I have both of those picks as well. Thinking A-Rich at 4 or at 2, and CJ at 4. 103 is sold on JSN. So if 103 is sold on JSN, you should be going Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. I get it. There will be like if you have CJ over Bryce, obviously take the guy that you're higher on because they're still both second round picks. But for us, it's pretty convincingly going to be Bryce Young. For me, if anything, like there is a little bit of I don't even want to say a little bit of a mini tier because obviously CJ Stroud's still a back end second round pick for me. But the other two guys are
he's referring to, by the way.
Super flex startup drafts. CJ Stroud's more of a back end second round pick. In my opinion, I feel comfortable taking Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young in the early to mid portion of my second round.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page, at least with Bryce. Maybe not quite with Richardson yet, but definitely with Bryce. I think he's a mini tier, a little bit ahead of CJ. But if you love CJ, I understand it. Go ahead and get your guy there. It's not a huge difference. 100%. Leonardo, what's up? I have 3 picks back to back after you, so I'm trying to get mine going. I will next time Danny's talking, I'll pull up my phone and make my pick here, Spicy. We all know who I'm going with at the spot.
Side note, real quick, if you guys want to know if I have conviction, if I have skin in the game on my Anthony Richardson, just so happens I actually took a share of Anthony Richardson, I believe at the 204, the 205 in a startup we just did. So
and he took over Dak Prescott. Call the presses. Danny doesn't think that Dak is good.
Had to get some variety. I have so much Dak, but I do think that him, Bryce Young, Dak Prescott, like take who you want realistically. If you want a more younger team, I don't mind mixing it up there. By the way, I just realized I'm on the clock. I'll take a Zach Evans share. I don't even know if he's my highest on the board, but I kind of ran out of time.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of hilarious that I ended up taking Dak when you passed on him.
Right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say like that's pretty funny. Let's catch up on some comments while you're doing. Been loving making moves on drafts. Great time of the year. Oh, absolutely. Very fun time. Traded 102 and 207 for Pitts in the 108 in a 12-team Superflex tight end premium. Yeah, no, I do like if as long as you're set at quarterback, I like this move because I mean Kyle Pitts is just right after the 102 in terms of my ADP in startups. And at the 108, you're still getting a really solid wide receiver. So as long as you're not completely desolate at the quarterback position, I really like the move to make for Kyle Pitts, especially in a tight end premium. Who's the real 105? Been arguing with the friends for days. Bush. Obviously pre-draft, JSN was the 105.
Yep.
After 4 days of thinking on it, have we both reached the same agreement?
Yeah, I think it's Gibbs.
I agree. It's tough. It's tough to ignore the 12th overall running back, and given the landscape, I mean, you're getting a top 4 overall asset right now in the open market at the running back position. So it's tough to pass on, man, honestly. What'd you say?
Sorry, I literally was about to time out and get fired again.
Oh,
So I just grabbed Darnell Washington there. I think that's okay value on him. What I was about to say was we have some live on action trade talks here. So I'm on the board in our Listener Dynasty League at 108. This is the league that we were just talking about at the beginning of the show where I traded Danny Saquon Barkley. So I'm tearing it down. I'm not looking for production right now. And I have Brock, classic, commenter in all of our live streams, wanting to give me a 2024 second that belongs to Danny, so probably a late one because Danny's a competitive team, and his 109 to move up just one spot to secure presumably Quentin Johnston, and I would then probably settle for Zay Flowers at 109. So what do you think of that? What do you think of that deal? Do you think the difference between 108, which in this case is Quentin Johnston, it could be Jordan Addison or JSN in some people's leagues, and Zay Flowers, do you think that difference is worth a second round pick? Again, it's presumably a mid to late second because it's your second, but do you think that difference is warranted?
well, if we're looking at my overall rankings right now, I believe QJ is my 50th overall player. Let me just take a look. Dynasty. I was on my rookie tab, oddly enough, but if we're looking at my superflex overall, QJ is my 50th overall player. Zay's my 69th. So if you're making up the difference of about a second round pick, you're looking at about a round and a half there. That's about fair, I would say. That's about fair.
Well, here's the question. Would you do that if you were in my situation?
In your
I'm a rebuilding team, right? I'm looking for picks and more picks. Is Zay Flowers, the difference between QJ and Zay Flowers big enough that I'm going to take QJ, or should I just take Zay and go for the second next year?
I mean, to be fair, you're also higher on Flowers than I am, and you're lower on QJ than I am.
Yeah.
So the difference is probably closer for you.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I thought Zay was the better prospect, and I'm probably going to take the deal because I think it's warranted. I'll pocket the second round pick and get a similarly rated prospect.
No, absolutely. I think that's a fine deal.
Cool. You're on the clock, by the way. Don't get fired.
I'll just take Eric Gray. Pound the rock, baby. Let's go. By the way, if I'm not gonna lie, if I left with this in my rookie draft, I would be pretty kind of mid.
Hey. I wonder if Brock has his first right now. Oh, he's not gonna give it to me. He's a tanking team. Never mind.
Hey, Bush, realizing this, just sticking to my board, fucking picking at the 110 may be one of the worst spots you could pick.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
It is bad.
It's bad. It's not good because you have to make, like, the only way it's not bad is if Zay falls to you. Like if somebody takes A-Chain or Levis or whoever ahead of you, then you don't have to. What the worst spot to pick from in rookie drafts is whatever the landing spot is that Zay Flowers is off the board, whether that's 111, 110, 112, whatever. Once Zay Flowers is off the board, it goes downhill pretty quickly, in my opinion. So Colin's in the chat here. He says one quarterback PPR mid rebuild. He says he has the 101, 107, 201 for 2024 first. Would you give 107, 201, a 2024 first, and Treylon Burks for Justin Jefferson
and in his
situation? It's a one quarterback league. I think I'm doing that in a heartbeat.
Well, whose first is that? Is that your first that you're trying to tank?
I'm just going to assume that's a mid first, and I would still do it.
Okay. If that's your first, no, because you're trying to tank. If that's like a mid first, yeah, I'm taking Justin Jefferson easily. The only way that I'm not doing this deal is if that's potentially a pick you're trying to tank for Marvin Harrison Jr. Because at that point, it's Marvin Harrison, a first round pick and a second round pick in Treylon Burks. That seems a little steep. Oh, it's a mid to late first. Yeah, smash that. Smash that.
Yeah, 100%. I think in a rebuild, it does benefit you to have a lot of bullets in the chamber. 107, 201, first, like take shots at the dartboard because you need to hit on picks. But at the same time, Justin Jefferson is a home run. So you can't, really be mad at yourself for going out and acquiring a guy that's a legit building block. And a one quarterback league is probably the first overall pick in most leagues. So definitely think that's a great move for you. Let me go back to where we left off in the comments here. Pionios. Oh, actually, we already did we talk about this one? He said traded 102 and 207 for Pitts and a 108 and a 12-team superflex. We talked about this one already.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was choking on my coffee a little bit.
Sup, dudes? What's going on? Olaf Fub. We'll start up another one, Danny. If you wanna start up another draft, and I will answer some questions here.
Sounds good.
Brandon says thanks for the help in the Discord. No problem.
Anytime,
got the package done for the 106 back. So what he was talking about, he basically said, should I trade my 110, 204, and a 2024 second to get up from 110 to 106? And I told
Yes.
him yes, because his team is gnarly. He has like Chase, AJ Brown, Drake London, Brees Hall, Trevor Lawrence, Lamar. Like his team's unreal. So I'm like, dude, just go get JSN or Gibbs, whatever guy is there. So definitely love that. Bush 101, is this real life? Yes, it is real life. Zachary, we'll do one more super flex, and then we will do a one quarterback one after that. So Danny's making up a one or a super flex one right now, and then we will rip a one quarterback after we're done with this one. I will, or do you want to drop the link in the chat right now? Danny's dying on his coughing.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm like very phlegmy. Ugh.
Love to see that.
All right, I'm good now.
All right, if you want to drop the link in the chat, I'll keep going for the. Oh, you did? Perfect. Okay.
Yep.
Am I in?
You got to get in, bro.
No, I'm not in. Get in.
You got to click a spot, bro. Okay,
I got one. We're good.
All right, we're gonna leave off in chats.
A lot of people
Pionio, in my opinion, 105 is Gibbs. The DC, yeah, exactly. I think J22 pretty much labeled exactly why Gibbs is now the 105. Not to mention, I mean, his standing in the running back landscape is so high to the point where would anybody be shocked if this was the consensus running back 2 in Dynasty this time next offseason?
I wouldn't be shocked if this is the consensus running back 2 in Dynasty midway through his rookie year.
I agree.
Also, this is an underrated part of this because I think J22 has a point here. They said they were okay taking him at 6. Does that mean they would have taken him over Bijan?
I think so, yeah. That's crazy. Oh, what?
101 again.
What the fuck? Oh, man. You're having the me luck right now. What's going on here? What's going on?
All right, we ain't auto drafting in this chat now.
You know, Spicy is fuming.
You know, Jared MNDZ is fuming. He's got a Bijan profile pick right here.
Oh my God.
With the 102, would you take Richardson or Young? I mean, this is going to be the age-old question. You have Mahomes, Lance, Tannehill, and Dalton. Again, if you're asking us this question, which quarterback should I take? Tell us who your current quarterbacks are, because that's the only way we're going to be able to answer the question normally. And I would say in your situation, you have shaky starters behind Mahomes. I'm taking Bryce Young.
Not to mention you have your upside piece, if you will, with Lance. So realistically, you get Young, you know he's going to have more stable value, if you will. By the way, I'm snatching Gibbs here.
Facts.
Yeah, no, I like it, though. I like it. I would go with Young. Urgent trade offer, 111 and Javonte or London. London pretty easily. Pretty easily. He said he gets London, so smash. Which side for Josh's trade? So Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young and Jamar Chase or Trevor Lawrence and Drake London? So I would prefer Lawrence over Chase, but I would prefer the 103 over London. In a start 10.
I think the difference between 103 and Drake London is bigger than the difference between Chase and Lawrence.
Yes, but at the same time, yeah, I would probably. Oh man,
especially if you have any intel that Bryce could be there at 103. Like if Richardson's going to go 102, I would absolutely smash 103. Like if you got me Bryce and Chase for T-Law and Drake London, that's not even close. I would take Bryce and Chase easily.
Yeah, the only thing here is that you're basically giving up the for sure like franchise overall quarterback here. That's the only
for sure.
to have.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough to hit on quarterbacks, and especially Lawrence. I mean, Lawrence could. It's possible in the range of outcomes is Lawrence becomes the 101 in drafts this time next year. If he has an MVP caliber season, he might legit be the 101 in drafts because he's 5 years younger than Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Yeah. It would be tough for me to pass on. This feels like the type of deal where, although it's fair, I wouldn't feel great about doing it in either direction. If that makes sense.
You don't want to get rid of Chase.
You know what I mean?
You don't want to get rid of London. Or sorry, you don't want to get rid of Trevor Lawrence. It's the same. Dealing away these superstar players sucks. And I don't like doing it. And it's you want a little bit extra for your troubles when you're doing it.
I think I'm going to go with the Lawrence side personally, man. It's tough for me to pass on the quarterback certainty there. I know Chase is so good, but like Drake London's still wide receiver 7, wide receiver 8 in Dynasty. Like he's still like a for sure like middle to back end or a wide receiver 1. And then I mean Trevor Lawrence, like we kind of mentioned, he's already valued up there with Trevor Lawrence. He's already valued up there with Justin Herbert, valued right near a guy like Joe Burrow. So I think I'm going to take the quarterback equity, but I might regret it later.
Yeah, I mean, just for the sake of diversification, I'm going to take Devon A-Chain here. But under zero circumstances, if I needed a tight end, would I take Devon A-Chain over Michael Mayer? If I had a team that doesn't have an elite tight end on it, I'm taking Michael Mayer at that spot because Michael Mayer is a significantly better prospect than Devon A-Chain, in my opinion. I love what happened with Devon A-Chain. You go to the nuts range of outcomes. I think, especially if you're in a best ball league, Devon A-Chain's a great addition because you might not have to choose when to start him, obviously, in best ball. Same goes for a guy like Jalen Hyatt later on in the second round. Keep in mind if you're in a best ball league or not. I think that's an underrated part of dynasty rookie drafts that's not talked about enough because best ball is getting a little bit more popular in this space here. Gotta be quicker, Flat. Josh Downs, what are your options? Josh Downs, I mean, I think Josh Downs is in one of the more underrated landing spots that he could have gone to because not only is he a perfect complement to Michael Pittman Jr., he is a great fit for that offense. And Anthony Richardson, if he struggles as a quarterback, is going to need a quick short area separator that he can get the ball to. And I know he's not going to, we don't expect this offense to throw the ball 600 times with Anthony Richardson, especially the first 2 years of his career while he's developing. But Josh Downs, by the third year of his career, by the third year of Richardson's career, we could be talking about the number 2 receiver for a Jalen Hurts-like quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of him, he just got ripped out of my hands from Spicy Hot. Absolutely love Josh Downs here. I got to quickly check who my next rated guy is because after Downs, I believe it's one of the running backs, but let me just take a look quickly. So if I go to my rookie rankings, am I tripping? Oh, yeah, they added the tab. Superflex. My next rated guy, so Kincaid, Mayer are off the board. Is Kendre Miller here?
Nope,
Kendre Miller is not here. Okay. Spears shirt.
Fired.
I got him. He
got it in. Barely.
I got him. It's a mini tier between a bunch of guys. You can argue Hooker. You can argue, if Roschon fell, that'd be great. Tank Bigsby, Sam Laporta, a bunch of solid players there.
Yeah, the interesting thing about these wide receivers, from wide receiver 5, who for us is Josh Downs, to wide receiver 11, who for most people, Rashee Rice might be wide receiver 5 for him. For us, he's wide receiver 11. Again, you could argue these guys in any which order, but I will say, don't let landing spot and draft capital impact you too much. We want to value landing spot and draft capital to some degree, especially draft capital. Like Jonathan Mingo going 39th overall is a big deal. But Jonathan Mingo, 39th overall, who I thought was a subpar receiver prospect, just because Josh Downs went in the 70s doesn't mean I'm going to take Jonathan Mingo over Josh Downs, because we wouldn't really be doing our jobs if we just said, oh yeah, just follow verbatim what the draft capital was and draft them in that exact order, because the NFL knows more than we do. The correlation of my grades last year was higher than draft capital. So actually, it makes more sense for me to follow my own grades. But again, we want to take into account what happened draft capital wise and factor that in. So for me, don't just automatically vault Mingo up your rankings if you hated him pre-draft just because he went 39th overall. It matters, but it's not the be all end all.
Side note, nice little trade by Fletsky and Daddy Flex got in our league. Fletsky pockets George Pickens and a presumed mid to late 24 second in exchange for DJ Moore.
Okay. I think the deal I offered him was better than that, but whatever.
For DJ Moore?
No, for Pickens. We had a package deal involving Pickens, and it was Christian Kirk and Deontay Johnson for Pickens in 2 seconds, I think.
Damn. Okay.
I'm not a huge Pickens guy, but I need to get younger on that team and get some production off my roster. But come to think of it, honestly, I can't be trading away the Steelers' actual number 1 receiver for their Fugazi number 1 receiver. I might just go Jaden Reed again. To me, I think I have him a tier ahead of Marvin Mims. I want to stay realistic. I would not take Marvin Mims over Jalen Reed, or Jaden Reed, even though I think Marvin Mims has a case for it. And I'm starting to warm up to his landing spot, especially because Sutton has been the talk of trades. Jerry Jeudy got his 5th-year option extended, but I think Marvin Mims is a good fit for that offense. And he'd be pretty fun if he can hit. So he's interesting for sure.
Yep. No, I agree with you. Well, I do have Mims a little bit higher, but I agree. The pathing for both really is very nice. And getting that upside in the early 3rd round portion is extremely nice value. Speaking of Jaden Reed, one hill I will die on is Jaden Reed as being wide receiver 5. I think Bush is right near you. He was wide receiver 6 for you, right?
He was 6 pre-draft. He's 6 post-draft. It's actually hilarious that my wide receiver rankings from 1 to 10 did not change one bit. It was JSN 1 pre-draft. It was Jordan Addison 2. It was Zay Flowers. Actually, I guess it did change one spot because QJ is now ahead of Zay Flowers in my rankings. But other than that, they did not change because my wide receiver 5 was Josh Downs. He's still my wide receiver 5. My wide receiver 6 was Jaden Reed. He's still my wide receiver 6. My wide receiver 7 was Jalen Hyatt. He is still my wide receiver 7. 8, Tillman, still my wide receiver 8. Mims, 9, still my wide receiver 9. And Mingo, 10, he's still my wide receiver 10. Nothing changed for me. I know, again, we want to take into account draft capital and all that kind of stuff, but to me, there was talent differences between those players, and none of them went to like nuts range of outcomes outside of Rashee Rice, who I didn't think was very good to begin with.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. If I can get JSN at 108, I'm gonna be to the moon. Is running back Chase Brown a potential sleeper?
Oh, buddy, he's not just a potential sleeper; he's the potential sleeper.
Former London Mustang. Big shout out to that guy.
Yeah, I'm going to drop the top 5 sleepers for you guys to grab 3rd, 4th rounds of rookie drafts. And I'm going to spoil it right now. Chase Brown absolutely will be number 1 on that list. Not even close.
Wait. Chase Brown must be gone. Yeah, Chase Brown went to Big
Chase Brown is gone. You got to remember what room you drafted in, my guy.
Right. Who do I go with?
This is Tillman pretty easily for me.
Oh, I didn't even see him. Yeah.
Tillman or Tucker Kraft would have probably been my picks there. Jacobs, Pittman, Cousins, Russ, Hawkinson, or 101, 104, and Goddard. Okay, let's
the studs.
Work through this here.
The studs. I don't have to see much from us. Give
me 101, the picks?
101, 104, and Goddard pretty easily, in my opinion.
And a tight end premium too. I mean, Hawkinson is ahead of Goddard for me in my dynasty rankings, but it's not a vast difference to the point that it would matter too much in this trade. 101 is worth Jacobs, Pittman, and Cousins probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then 104 over Russ easily. Yeah, give me the picks and Goddard there. Kyler or the 103 Kyler. Straight up in Superflex. Kyler. I would take Kyler straight up over Bryce in Superflex.
I would take Kyler straight up over Bijan in a Superflex.
Yeah, I would as well. So yeah, I would take Kyler over 101 in Superflex. Josh Downs, wide receiver 5. Indeed, he is my wide receiver 5 still, even despite falling to the 3rd round.
I mean, I wouldn't say all day. I think I'd still have Dak 1 spot higher or 2 spots higher, but like they're same tier, so I don't mind.
The one thing that kind of sucks about Dak now is his age has a 3 in front of it, right? And it's not really a big deal. He's still going to play probably 4 to 6 more years at minimum. But the fact that his age starts with 3 is a big deal when you're A, trying to stay flexible in the early rounds, and B, trying to trade somebody because somebody looks at a 30-year-old quarterback and they're not as valuable. Whereas Anthony Richardson, of course, could appreciate to the nth degree in value because he's literally 21 years old. So I personally would take Dak just because he's a known commodity, and quarterbacks especially, you want known commodities. But at the same time, Anthony Richardson, he could very easily lap Dak by like midway through his rookie season.
Yeah, no, there's definitely the possibility. Also, quickly want to show this because I found this funny. Did Bush make any bets today? Probably did. Guy makes bets.
No, I did not make any bets today. I almost did, though, because the Florida Panthers and Toronto Maple Leafs series starts tomorrow. And I'm probably going to bet. I bet on Leafs in 4 or Leafs in 6, sorry. And it ended up paying off for the Tampa series. And I'm probably going to bet on Leafs in 5 for the Florida Panthers series. Maybe I think Leafs in 6 again. I'm not sure.
That kind of reminds me of the bet I made. So I made 2 separate bets on the Nuggets versus Suns series. So the Suns were the favorite coming into the series. And I think the Nuggets are going to win that series. So I bet 2 separate outcomes, $15 on them winning in 7, the Nuggets, and $15 on them winning in 6. So overall, I wagered 30. If they win in 7, it's a $65 payout. If they win in 6, I believe it's a $97 payout.
Right. Yeah. And looks like D-Rock was fired as well.
Yeah.
For auto picking. But again, we literally auto picked. So it's fine. Would you trade JT for 103? I would rather have 103 than JT, but it's really close. I think that would be like right in the discussion.
I need to see the context of your team. In a natural like startup scenario, I would rather the 103 over Jonathan Taylor. But if you're trying to compete, like for example, like the position I was in Tone Setter Truthers Bush, where my quarterbacks were set, I needed flex players, I had the 103. I ended up trading that for basically for Garrett Wilson. And if somebody were to say, oh yeah, they were doing that for Jonathan Taylor, I think that would make sense. Obviously, both late second to early third round startup value. So I would say face value, I would take the quarterback equity, but if you're trying to compete, I don't mind going and getting a stud.
Yeah, I agree. I think it really all depends on what your team is looking like. Yesterday in my one quarterback rookie draft, I got Bijan 101, JSN 104 in a one quarterback league. That's ridiculous. QJ also 106. Who the hell went ahead of QJ? That isn't supposed to go ahead of him. Maybe a tight end or fucking.
Are they going to be paying your
back?
buy-ins for the next 10 years? What's going on here?
Charbonnet at 2.7 in a one quarterback league.
Mayer at 303?
Ridiculous, dude. You Roshan also 2.9. Ridiculous. These are unreal values, Wanye. Good job.
Drew is begging not to get fired.
Basically.
Give me a written warning.
I have the 101, 102, 106, 109, 203 as well. I love how every comment on our channel starts with I have like 7 first-round picks. One quarterback, half PPR, thinking about sending 106 and 203 for 104 to add QJ to Gibbs and Bijan. What do you think? Yeah, I think that's an easy move to make. 203 in a one quarterback league, fucking toss it. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
106 also could be a tier break. If the board goes as expected, then you might have to be the one who pulls the trigger on A-Chain, Charbonnet, Kendre, whatever running back you like, or potentially just taking Zay Flowers there. So I really like that move. Yeah, if you can get up to 104 and get QJ or Addison, whoever ends up being there, I would definitely say that's a great move.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Agreed, Matt. I'm on the same page. So it's close because Kincaid is a great pass catching profile, goes to the Buffalo Bills. But I actually really love if Kincaid's landing spot is a 10 out of 10, Mayer's is a 9 out of 10. And Mayer was the better prospect. And unfortunately, we have first round capital versus early second round capital. But honestly, it's probably negligible difference from a pick in the mid 20s to a pick in the early 30s. Like it's not a huge difference to me. So I would slightly take Mayer over Kincaid, but I don't think like they're literally back to back in my rankings.
Mark Andrews or Pickett and Pickens? I'm just going to take Andrews.
I'm
just taking Andrews.
Yeah, I'm going to take Andrews, but I am warming up to Pickett for sure, given what the Steelers have done for their offense.
Oh, Brett, you're fired.
Brett, you're literally in the chat.
I know, he's typing in the chat a minute ago. Oh, I'm fucking with him.
He's back. Chris Rodriguez is the pick. Also, such a fucking Ron Rivera running back, Chris Rodriguez. What's good, boys? With the 102, would you take AR-15? I mean, I'm sure we're going to get this question a million times. Yeah. Only quarterback is Trevor Lawrence? Again, anytime you ask us this question, you better tell us who your current quarterbacks are. And if your only quarterback is Lawrence, you take Bryce Young.
Yep, agreed. By the way, quickly want to address little shout out, Brett. Your boy Josh Downs, Indianapolis Colt himself, is my wide receiver 5. I'm assuming yours as well, right?
Yeah, I answered that like 20 minutes ago. Dude.
I did not even realize. My bad. I just saw Evan in the chat.
How much would it take you to move down from? I mean, I literally made the trade on stream. So again, in a neutral situation, let's say you had a competitive team, I would probably need a little bit more than I sold it for because I am a rebuilding team. So I need darts at the dartboard. So I said, hey, second round pick to move off of a comparable player also would depend on your evaluation of Zay Flowers versus Quentin Johnston as well. Because for me, they were very close. In fact, I had Zay higher pre-draft than I had QJ. So for me, I think it was a negligible difference. A second rounder was enough to get it done. But if you liked QJ a lot more, then I would say probably 2 seconds or like a comparable player or something like that. So what else do we got here? We got Flemmy says Pittman and JMO for 105. I'd probably do that.
I would just take Gibbs or JSN, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like that's I mean, those are 2 solid assets that you're giving up. You're giving up what, a 5th, 6th round startup pick in Pittman and like a 7th round startup pick in JMO for 105. Gibbs is probably a early 3rd at this point in time.
Yeah, this is the type of deal where I would try to do
in chance quarterback falls there as well.
This is the type of offer I would try to send out in the FSC league that we're in, Bush, where like you got 2 solid assets, but you go and try to get an elite one. That's how I view it. By the way, Dead End, considering Lamar was supporting a top 10 point per game Hollywood prior to him going down, I think he can support a top 20 wide receiver. I'm assuming you agree, Bush?
Yep, I agree.
Yep. Where do we leave off?
I just
want to go to that.
I totally agree, dude. I know it's such low hanging fruit to just say that Lamar can't support wide receivers because he hasn't so far in his career, but he literally has been passing the ball like 450 times a season,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous. It's like the lowest that we can see, and Todd Monken absolutely will not throw the ball that little. And if Zay Flowers is as good as Marquise Brown, which I think he definitely can be, then he can be a top 20 receiver in fantasy. And some people think Zay Flowers can be as good as Steve Smith potentially. I don't think he's going to be that good, but I do think he can be a very productive receiver in fantasy. And I'm ecstatic if I have 1-9 and I can get Zay Flowers or even potentially lower in the draft, because I think he's the last of like the guys that I actually really believe in who got first round capital. So, Superflex have Dak and Russ. Would you trade JT for Richardson or Young? So you're essentially saying, would you trade 102 for JT? Or JT for 102 if you already have Dak and Russ?
Yes, I would, because I would probably take Richardson in this scenario, so you have more upside at your quarterback 2 spot instead of Russ.
Yeah, so league chat's talking about me not making my pick yet.
Wait, with the 109?
Yeah, so I traded the pick to Brock at 108 so that he could take QJ, and I pocketed the second. Obviously, I'm on the board at 109. And I'm going to give it like 2 minutes. If nobody sends me anything, I'll probably just take Zay. But I'll take if anybody in the chat is listening to this right now that's in this league, give me a future first. Give me a young player, whatever. I'll trade Zay Flowers. I don't really mind.
Let me see what I can concoct, because I was trying to craft a Burks trade with you earlier, but I think I rescinded it. It was like Burks and Elijah Moore for your 2 win now wide receivers, Godwin and Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that a lot. I'd probably need a little bit more than that, because that's kind of risky receivers to acquire.
The reason why I would do that is because I have Burks the highest out of all that group.
I would take Debo easily over.
Really?
Did you say Debo and Kirk, or did you say Godwin and Kirk?
But Godwin and Debo.
Godwin and Debo. Yeah, dude, I actually dead ass would take Debo and Godwin both over Treylon Burks right now. Dude, I think no wide overrating how much Treylon Burks' rookie season was good.
They added no wide receivers, and they got a rookie quarterback in.
That's fair. They did add no wide receivers, and they did get a rookie quarterback. That quarterback's also Will Levis.
Fair. I mean, it's better than Malik Willis.
And he's a second rounder in the draft, 33rd not a first round quarterback.
I don't know. I think that's fair.
I like Treylon Burks, but he needs to be behind some established studs, in my opinion, who are still relatively young. They're not old. They're 27 years old, Godwin and Debo. They're still young enough that they have a couple years left.
There's also a possibility he might get force-fed like 8 targets a game, given that fucking core.
I don't see that as a likely scenario. It could happen. I don't think it's likely.
Have you seen their pass catchers?
Oh, yeah. They stink.
Man. I don't know. That's fair.
3 years younger than Burrow. Yeah, facts. Olave and a mid-late first for 102 and 109.
I have the 102 over Olave, and if that's a mid to late first, 109 is mid to late. So I would just take the 102. Though I will say this is a decent process move if you're set at quarterback. Like if you're set at quarterback and you wanted to do something like this, I would understand. I actually made a move similar to something like this where I sold the 104 and the 208. No, 104 and the 204, and I got back Chris Olave and Mike Williams. So I made a similar move. But
I basically did the same thing because I sold the 102 and 111 and 112 and Calvin Ridley, and I got back 108 Olave and a 2024 first and second and a late second this year.
So basically you still got the upgrade from the 111 to the 108. Like if you can get that type of juice on top, I would take the Olave side if you're set at quarterback.
Yeah. If you're set at quarterback, that's a good deal. And you want to sell the 102 and the 109 to get Olave in a mid first, I think that's a great deal. But if I needed a quarterback, I think 102 is a good like a good bit higher than Olave in startup value, in my opinion.
Agreed. Quickly want to address something too. Very shot, and I'm going to be doing it in a lot of leagues there, Wicopy.
You can take a question mark quarterback over JT.
Yeah,
watch me.
I'm doing it.
I
will do it.
Bryce Young ain't a question mark quarterback, dude. I know Bryce Young is good. Yeah. He literally dominated in the SEC against the best teams in college football.
Yep. Also got a super chat quickly from AJ. What's ETN worth right now? Also DK rookie pick value. I honestly think ETN's worth about the 107. I have Jordan Addison ranked right behind him in my superflex rankings, and I have both JSN and Gibbs ranked above him.
I think that's fair. As far as DK's rookie pick value, I mean, it's a pretty easy question. Are you which Seahawks wide receiver are you taking?
Currently have DK higher, but honestly, when I think about it, if I was in a startup, I might take JSN.
I think I would still take Metcalf personally, barely.
That's very close though. That's
106 is the answer to the question. I think though
for DK, yeah.
Yeah, for both of them, honestly. I think 106, 107 is probably about the range for both of those guys. ETN is a little bit more risky because
I would much rather
Gibbs' addition. I think maybe 107, 108 more so for him.
I would much rather Gibbs to Gibbs and JSN right now to ETN personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like we're talking like at least a round personally for me.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. One quarterback league have 102. If you want to start up a one quarterback mock right now, as well,
let's do it.
Get that going.
Also, I know why AJ's asking that because I offered 108 plus to him for ETN and Tone Setters League.
He also asked me what I want if I wanted ETN and Tone Setters as well. I would be interested in ETN, AJ, if I didn't already have Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Ramondre Stevenson as my top running backs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't you have like 5 running backs?
My depth is good too because I have Elijah Mitchell and Jamal Williams and some other guys too. So like I'm just not personally interested in acquiring another running back, but
yeah, for sure.
I mean, maybe like I don't really have a wide receiver that's in the range of ETN. Like I have Ayuk and Dotson, but they're like just behind the range that ETN would probably be going.
Well, I'll let you evaluate this deal live. The offer that I sent to him is I just got the 206 from Flet in the deal that I got with Garrett Wilson. My offer to him was 108, 206, and 310. And basically to me, that's Quentin Johnson, a mid-second round pick, and a third on top for a little bit of juice.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. Hopefully I don't get 101 this time because I actually don't want it.
Yeah. Just for the maybe I'll have it this time. The 9th slot's going to get pushed up to the 101, I believe.
All right. So, Danny, if you want to drop, this is the single quarterback. So, you single quarterback, bros, you better be quick on the sticks right now if you want to get in this draft. Yeah. So, he's going to drop it in the YouTube chat.
We've been having people salivating over some of this. So,
yeah, Michael goes, did I miss the single quarterback? You did not. This is it.
You better get in. If Michael's not in, then I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, facts. I don't know if I ever answered this. One quarterback have 102 RBs or Brees, Dobbins, Robinson. I'm assuming that's Brian Robinson, wide receiver, Jamar, Olave, Higgins. We start 3 wide receivers. Do I go JSN or Gibbs?
Gibbs.
Yeah, I think I would go Gibbs. You got 3 absolute studs at wide receiver.
Assuming that's Brian Robinson and not Bijan. Because if that was Bijan, I may change my answer.
I mean, I think he would have said he had 101 also if it was Bijan.
Yeah, that's fair. Kyler 101 and 301, and you get T-Law, a mid to late first and a second. So basically, it's upgrading from Kyler to T-Law. You upgrade the 3 to the second, and then you still get a mid to late first for Bijan. That's pretty fair. I would say it depends what
I think I would take Kyler and Bijan here.
Like the thing is though, if you're competing and you can get off Kyler, who's probably going to miss part of the year and is probably going to have a slow start regardless, and get T-Law, who may be a top 5 or 6 quarterback this year, I don't mind it. Because I mean, realistically, what about buying power of the mid to late first? You could probably get a win now type
I agree, but look at with that. Right, I agree, but look at it this way: the difference between Kyler and Lawrence is what in a startup.
Well, Lawrence is a top 6 or 7 pick, and Kyler's an early second.
Yeah, but actual trade value, what's the difference between those 2 guys?
I would say probably a mid first to late first.
I don't think so. I think it's like 2 seconds. Difference between Kyler and the 301 and Trevor Lawrence to me is like a second and like maybe a small piece. The difference 101, if you were to sell 101 and only get a mid to late first and second for it, that's terrible.
No, I agree, but let's contextualize this. If you had Trevor Lawrence and somebody said, I want Kyler, or I'll give you Kyler plus for Lawrence, what would you be asking for? I'll tell you what, you're asking for at least a first round pick if you're in the Lawrence stage, or if you're in the Lawrence
probably, but like part. It's probably, I don't think it's quite that big of a difference. I think it's probably 2 2s worth.
Well, I'll pose the question to you specifically because you actually just took Trevor and Debbie Disciples. If the guy with Kyler said, hey, listen, I'll give you Kyler and 2 2s for him, would you take it? Like deep down,
it's the same. It's the same response we always have with quarterbacks, right? I think it's fair, but I don't like. I would want the first, like you said. I get your point, but at the same time, even if you said Kyler and a mid first is equivalent to Trevor Lawrence, you should get more for the 101 side of this trade, I think.
Maybe so. Basically, that would be two mid to late first.
Draft so people don't get.
You got the 101 again.
I did. Actually, can you randomize it again? I don't want the
101. Yeah.
Sorry to anybody who is picking high that got screwed out of that, but I'm not picking 101 again. The interesting thing about A-Chain is that McDaniel's offense is the one that created 2021 Debo. McDaniel's off. Oh, Mike I thought you was talking about Josh McDaniels for a second. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like the landing spot for sure for Devon A-Chain. I just don't really want to trust and buy into a guy that I didn't believe in pre-draft who's 188 pounds, much higher than like an early second rounder, which I've seen him go much higher than that. I've seen him go 109. I've seen him go 110, 111 area. I can't spend a first round pick on a 188-pound running back. I just won't do it.
Yeah, I agree.
How did Tajay get third round draft capital without knees? I honestly have no idea. If that's actually a true report, I'm surprised he didn't go undrafted, legitimately. Because Sean Tucker had, medical concerns and he went undrafted. I guess it's heart concerns versus knee stuff, but for a running back, knees are quite important. So I'm surprised he got third round capital there.
Yeah. Quick super chat.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, quick super chat. AJ, peep my comment. Don't want to retype. Where is your comment here? Let me see. We already went through it. Yeah. AJ, appreciate the super chat. We already went through the value of ETN. Oh, he had another one, right? Which deal is best for selling DK? DK in 203 for DJ Moore and Burks, or Elijah Burks for DK?
Is this asking about you? Is this your team?
I actually co-manage the team that he's asking this about, so I'll let you chime in.
Okay, here, you make your pick here, and then I will give my thoughts here.
For the record, real quick, this is the team I co-manage with Flet, so I'll let Bush answer this one.
Also, remember that this is a one quarterback draft. It says superflex on the screen, but it is a one quarterback draft.
Yeah. By the way, also side note, I'll change that in a quick second, but side note, this league is a 10-team league, for the record. So the 203 is technically like the 201, and the 110, like it's basically 3 picks ahead of the 203. So for context, 203 is the 13th overall pick.
Okay. So as far as these packages, the one that appeals most to me is 107, 110, and 210, personally.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm getting Addison at 107, who's an actual needle mover, I think, at wide receiver. DJ Moore and Burks are solid. I think that's probably second. That's a solid return, I would say. But 107, I think I can get Addison. 110 in most leagues will probably get you Zay Flowers. And 210, you can take a shot on a wide receiver running back.
So you would rather the 107 and the 110 pretty much to DJ Moore and Burks?
Yeah, probably.
Really? Damn.
Yeah. I think Zay Flowers and Burks is quite close, and I would rather have Addison than DJ Moore by a decent margin.
So that's just basically because you're much lower on Burks than I am.
Yes, that'd be correct.
For the record, AJ, I know it doesn't matter because we are the ones making the deal. So take with what I'll say with a grain of salt. But Treylon Burks is still a top 20 wide receiver for me. He's my wide receiver 20 in Dynasty.
Yeah, and I think if you're high on Burks, that's probably the better deal. But I'm not as high on Burks.
It really depends where you are at on Burks. That's my input.
Yeah. 12-team Superflex trade, 206 Justin Herbert and Christian Watson, or Justin Fields, Javonte, and 107.
Herbert side, pretty easily.
What side?
Herbert side, pretty easily. Herbert over Fields. Christian Watson is about in line with the 107, Jordan Addison, in my opinion. And then to go from Javonte to the 206 and downgrade from Herbert to Fields just doesn't appeal me.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty decent trade offer, though. You could probably slice it in the other direction as well and say, hey, if Justin Fields continues to develop and continues to hit his ceiling, him and Herbert won't be all that different because Fields is younger. But at the same time, I think it also depends on your evaluation of Addison at 107, or maybe if you can get JSN there. Does that change your opinion if you can get JSN at 107?
I mean, slightly, but I just feel like the stability of Herbert versus what Fields represents.
I agree. Yeah, I'm on the same.
I like Fields a lot, but I mean, Herbert, is going to be a top 6 startup pick for the next 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed.
It's tricky.
Yeah, drafting in a 12 team superflex startup with the 112 later this summer. What's the best move with that pick at the turn? Any good strategies you guys have had success with? I mean, at the 112 and just a strategy in general is I like to secure 2 elite quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds, as does Danny. So if you need to move up from 112 to get Lawrence or Fields or somebody like that, and you know that maybe Kyler or Watson or something's going to make it to you, if you can just walk out of the first round with Kyler Watson 112 201, then that would be awesome. That's like, great start to the draft. You have 2 elite quarterbacks and you can go forward. But if you see the QB start to fly and you have to move up for maybe one of them, then I wouldn't mind that either. So that kind of strategy is what I would deploy. I think the first 2 rounds is what you need to focus most on. Unfortunately, I think 112 is one of the more terrible spots to draft from when it comes to like the 3rd, 4th round turn, because you're not going to be getting many good wide receivers at that point. Olave, London, those guys will probably be off the board, as will, St. Brown and, Waddle and those type of guys. So I'm actually starting when it comes to like 3rd round reversal. I think the team that it benefits the most is 112, because I think 112 gets screwed the most.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially if they can't start 2 quarterbacks. If they can start quarterback, then they don't get screwed as hard. But if they can't get quarterback to start at 112, then 3rd round reversal definitely benefits them a lot more.
I'll let you chime in on this one. I know exactly where my answer is, and I have a feeling that this one's going to be yours. Keep tabs of where we left, because I just want to discuss this because it is an interesting offer. Hey, y'all, still trying to acquire Jalen Hurts. Am giving 101, 110, 111 in a 2024 first, or is that too much? I'll let you chime in here.
I think that's too much, personally.
I want Hurts.
I think it's close, but given that Bijan is such a highly valued and liquid asset on the market, D-Rock already fired once, fired again.
Wow.
101 is such a highly valued market asset. 2020, I guess it would kind of depend where that 2024 first is going to be. If you were telling me that's a contenders first, I would probably take Jalen Hurts. But if you're telling me that's got a chance of being
it's a middling team.
Mid, what's up?
Say it's like the projected 104 to 106 area.
Then I would take Hurts. Or sorry, then I would take the picks. If it was, you're telling me it's like one of the best teams in the leagues first, I would take Hurts at that point.
Okay. Let's say it has no chance at getting Marvin Harrison, Drake Mayer, or Caleb Williams.
So it's like a guy who's trying to contend at the moment.
Yeah.
I would say then I'd probably take Hurts.
I would too.
It's close though. That is really close. And with Hurts, you're probably not going to regret going after him. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to. Yeah, it hurts losing those picks, but you're probably not going to regret having Jalen Hurts on your team.
Agreed there. You have where we left off, but I just wanted to go through that.
I guess I didn't actually realize all these tight ends are still on the board. I probably should have taken Laporta there. But yeah, this board is it's pretty gross by the end of the 2nd round in 1 quarterback leagues, but you do start to see these QBs go off the board. I think when we look at this board right now, I just want to talk about it because we just did a 1 quarterback mock and it's live on the channel right now. So those of you guys who are 1 quarterback bros, go check out that video because we talk more in depth about like the tier breaks and that kind of stuff, more so than we will on this live stream. But I think it's interesting where to take Anthony Richardson in a 1 quarterback draft. That's kind of like a pivot point because we know he can be like a pretty high level startup pick, even as a quarterback in a 1 quarterback league. And I think where he went here in this draft, 1-8 is probably give or take where he would go in a actual 1 quarterback draft. For what it's worth, I think I would still take Bryce over him, even in 1 quarterback formats, but it would be a much closer conversation.
Yeah, no, I would agree there. You have where we left off. By the way, I am actually on the clock. Hopefully I don't have to get fired. So Cedric Tillman, I'll take in a 1 quarterback league in the 3rd round. I think that's solid value here.
Yeah, not a bad value there. What's going on, Rom? Happy to see you in the chat. Yeah, I do make bets. Chase is an easy 3rd round pick for me if he's there. Eric Gray's an easy 4th if he's there. Yeah, I mean, Eric Gray's interesting. I don't think he has like a ton of upside, to be honest, because he's kind of like pretty limited on early downs. Chase is way more interesting because he has a full skill set, in my opinion. Need y'all's honest opinion on Boutte. I think the guy is just not motivated and has a bad attitude, and I don't think that's going to fly in New England. But maybe New England's the type of environment that would keep him in check. He's either going to like get cut after 1 year or he's going to actually develop into a good worker. I don't know if that means he's a great receiver, But if that's his only problem, then maybe Boutte could be. It's a good shot for the Patriots to get him whatever it was, round 5, round 6. It's a good dart throw for a receiver core that needs help, and I think he's interesting in rookie drafts in like the 3rd round because of that.
Yep, agree with you. Sorry, I was just mid negotiation with AJ. We're really trying to work out the wrinkles of this 108 ETN deal.
For sure. Yeah, we got I got a Fletsky trade in my inbox right now. Sent a feeler, he says. Let's see. Do I put him on blast right now? I mean, Fletsky, you can't be sending me running backs when I'm rebuilding here.
I got an offer in my inbox too. Yes, I'm not interested, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in making a trade here, Fletsky, but I ain't selling 109 for a running back. As much as I like J.K. Dobbins and the 3rd rounder that you offered, I'm not competing, so I don't want a running back. Thoughts about giving the 204 and 206 to move up to 201 and 301? I mean, it depends who's going to be there at 201 because I don't really think 204 and 201 is a huge difference. And I actually think 206 and 301 might be a bigger difference. So I don't know. It would depend. If 201, somebody's going to slide, like maybe Zay Flowers would slide there, then yeah, I like that move. But it would all depend on who you think is going to be there at 201.
Well, let's say that's 8 chain and 301. Sam Laporta versus 204 and 206, like Kendre Miller and
Roshan.
Which one would you want?
Yeah, or maybe, or Rashee Rice or fucking Mingo or one of the receivers there. Maybe Downs falls to that. I think I would rather have 204 and 206 personally, unless I knew like Zay Flowers was going to fall to 201 or maybe even, Charbonnet or Will Levis. I think that'd be the only way I would make that move.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that's a fair deal though.
Yeah. Lance is my only quarterback in Superflex. If Lance is your only quarterback, you cannot afford to take the risk on Anthony Richardson. Probably. I would probably take Bryce and CJ Stroud.
Yeah. You have to take 2 quarterbacks at that spot then.
Well, I mean, would you take, you're the Anthony Richardson guy. Would you want 2 lotto tickets on your roster like Lance and Richardson, or would you probably go Stroud in this situation too?
There's probably no scenario I would take Stroud over Richardson now that I think about it.
Really? Even where you would have no starting quarterback, basically. If
like, I think Stroud is fine. And I think he could be, maybe the quarterback 8 in Dynasty for a ceiling. Like, I don't see him being like this quarterback 5, quarterback 6. And I get the floor is lower for Anthony Richardson, but there's still the scenario where he could be the quarterback 3 with a Lamar Jackson breakout. Like that's in the range of outcomes.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I don't want to give that
I think
up.
CJ Stroud can be a quarterback 5, 6 type, but it would depend on having great weapons around him, which now that the Texans traded away their 1st round pick looks less and less likely, and they don't really have any established weapons as it currently stands outside of maybe Dameon Pierce at running back. So I personally wouldn't blame somebody for going Bryce A. Like, I'm literally going back and forth on A-Rich versus Stroud at 103, like daily almost. Like I literally don't. I have no idea when the gun's to my head on the clock. Thankfully, a lot of the leagues I draft in, I won't ever have to make the decision.
Yeah.
Because I have way more 104s than I do 103s.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Also, I'm on the clock right now. I'm probably just going to take a running back dart throw, maybe a Dwayne. I might go Dwayne McBride here, spice it up.
Yeah, I think the only league I have 103 in, my quarterbacks are Kyler and Watson. So, like, it's just an obvious Richardson spot. You know what I mean? Like, there's no leagues where I'm like equally, you could go either way with needing a quarterback and wanting the upside kind of situation. So, again, that decision's all going to come down to team construction for me. I have 4 second-round picks on a competing roster. What veteran running back should I target in a trade? That's actually a pretty good video idea. I'm not even going to lie. For like who you could get in a trade for second-round picks. In terms of veteran running backs, I would say, I mean, a late second, I would be okay shipping off for like David Montgomery, for example, who could give you, flex appeal or whatever. I'm actually going to pull up my Dynasty rankings right now just so I know the type of area I'm talking about. So I'll get back to that question in a second. I'll let you answer this one while I'm pulling that up.
Yep. Would it be too crazy to pick Jose at the 107? I think so, yes.
I think that's a classic market outsmarting situation. Like, I highly, highly doubt he would go off the board before 109 in most leagues. So if I were you, I would trade down to 109 and just pocket a second rounder. If you were going to pick him at 107, there's no harm, no foul. Then you just pocket a second rounder and get him at 109.
Yep. Avid bet maker. Yeah, facts. Bush, you mean Betch. Bush, who's your favorite hockey team? Oh, he's talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're both. I mean, Danny's weird. He likes the Habs because he's weird. But I'm like an hour outside of Toronto. Some of the Leafs are my favorite
Yeah.
hockey team. And to
And
answer Wakopi's question, or no, sorry, who was the
we
question?
already
I have
got
4
through
second
that.
round picks. Here we go. Space's question. He says, "What veteran running backs would you trade for using second round picks?" If we're talking like early second round picks, I think J.K. Dobbins is an interesting trade target right now. If we're
Maybe
talking,
I don't.
mid to
I would.
late second round, what's up?
I was just gonna say, obviously his value went up, but if you like theoretically, if you were to have done it before the draft or right after the first round, you could have probably gotten DeAndre Swift for a second round pick. But now that he's in Philly, that's obviously off the table. So if I'm looking at my rankings, if you want to, like, I don't mind maybe moving like a mid to late second for a guy like Miles Sanders. I think that's solid.
Yeah, I was literally going to say Sanders as well. Cam Akers, Isaiah
Yeah,
Pacheco,
Rashad White,
Aaron Jones, I think is a perfect one. Veteran, especially a veteran running back that can give you production. Aaron Jones, I think, would be the guy that I would go after over like a Dalvin Cook or Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon type. I would much rather have Aaron Jones than those guys.
I don't mind Joe Mixon as well. In terms of the seconds, right? Like, let's just say you want to ask, oh, what early thirds can I move for running back production? Then I get into the area of like Antonio Gibson. Maybe if somebody wants to pull the trigger
Elijah
on Alvin Kamara, Elijah Mitchell, James Conner, if you can get for an early third, I think is still pretty solid because
AJ Dillon, you might be able to get for an early third.
Yeah.
Right now.
Maybe Khalil Herbert because they had Roshan Johnson added to this backfield.
Rob.
I don't mind if you want to go to a mid third area of like Damian Harris, Rashad Penny, Jamal Williams. But like, yeah, there are still some vet running backs.
Damian Harris is one that I'm absolutely okay giving up, maybe even a late second for. I don't think you'd have to give that up. I think you'd probably get away with an early third for him, but I think he's a great buy right now. So we've been on here for about an hour. I'd like people to be able to go and rewatch this back, so I don't want to go super long here. So let's just answer the questions, and then we'll sign off here. So we will not do another draft here, but thank you guys for participating in that. Obviously, nobody went quite off the board as much as I thought. A couple people got fired, but it's okay. Would it be too crazy to pick? Oh yeah, we already answered that question. Big money.
By the way,
who are you drafting?
Sorry,
what's up?
I was just gonna say, quick thing. Live deal just made. Pleasure with AJ in the chat. Ended up shipping him my 208 or 108, 206, and Wan'Dale Robinson to secure Travis Etienne on my team. So I think it works out both sides. Like we kind of mentioned, the 108 was like a 9-spot discrepancy in my rankings between QJ and Etienne. He pockets a second and an upside wide receiver for the Giants. So I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy.
Yeah, that's not bad. Who are you drafting to get Gibbs at 104? Were the actual? Oh, okay. I think somebody mentioned this already. I don't know if that was was that a question for us or was he talking to somebody else?
Well, you guys wait, go back up to someone asked for our rankings as well. Who are you drafting to get Gibbs at 104? Oh, yeah, no, that was probably someone in chat.
Yeah, I think he was okay. So will you guys be releasing a full rankings? Yes, we will. They are available now on flockfantasy.com.
Yep.
Of course, promo code FSE. You get a 2-day free trial. If you've never checked out the site, you can go look at our rankings right now for free for 2 days when you sign up with an account for using the promo code FSE. And then if you like what you see, of course, we're going to update them constantly. We're going to add our redraft rankings, best ball rankings. Those are all on the site right now as well. And then, of course, exclusive articles, videos from not just us, but from Mason and Chris and Pierre from Fantasy Endgame, Zach and Badake from Dynasty Land as well. So that is all available on flockfantasy.com. Thanks for Danka for giving us the prompt to plug that. And also, we mentioned this on the video today. If you guys want to book consultations with us, you can get $5 off right now by using the promo code ROOKIE in the consultation form in the link in the description right now. So once you get to the form, you fill it out. You can pick with me, with Danny, with both of us if you prefer. And then once you get to the PayPal like payment section or however you want to pay, there's a promo code section. Just put in the promo code ROOKIE, and then you can book that with us. You'll get an email within 24 hours to set that up. And we can talk through anything you want to talk through. You have a startup draft, you have a rookie draft, you have a multiple rookie drafts, whatever you want to talk about, you can talk with us that way as well. So that's all going to be available. And also too, I don't know if anybody's, wondering this, but the wide receivers to target and avoid and running backs to target and avoid videos that I did last year, where I went through like the benchmarks of all these prospects and stuff, I will do that probably next week, like early next week, Monday, Tuesday-ish, Wednesday maybe. because I have to collect all the data for that and it takes me some time. So I will do that next week. And a lot of you guys seem to really like that video. That was actually the video that turned me around on Christian Watson, because I was not high on Christian Watson at first when he first got drafted there. And then once I broke down like market share stats and stuff like that, I was like, hey, I actually kind of like this guy a little bit more than I was expecting. So, yeah, that'll be a very fun video series. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of holes to poke in these wide receiver prospects in that one.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely go check that out. Also, in terms of the next comment, I would not sell the 108 for 3 seconds. I would try to see if you can potentially add a little piece and get a 2024 first if you're really, really scared about the area in a 1 quarterback league personally.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not selling for 3 seconds there.
I'll send it right now. Yep, for sure. Send it over. If you have Walker already, would you draft Charbonnet to lock up the backfield? I mean, if he falls at value, I don't mind taking Charbonnet because he's a good player, but I'm not taking him higher than I should just because he is the quote unquote handcuff.
Yeah, I'm almost never like a fan of like locking up the backfield, like in trades, in rookie drafts, whatever. Like if you have Mixon right now, don't like reach to 2-4 to take Chase Brown just to lock up the backfield, quote unquote. Like what you want to do is draft the best player on the board. And if the best player on the board, you're at 202 and Zach Charbonnet is the best guy on the board, then take Zach Charbonnet. But don't just like reach on him at like 107 or 108 just to get him on your team to lock up the backfield. Is Mingo this year's Christian Watson that everyone's going to regret fading? Their capital profiles and situations feel really similar. I will say
volume is different.
Christian Watson was much more productive in his final year, especially on a per target, like per touch basis. Mingo is a good athlete, but he's not Christian Watson athletically. Christian Watson was like a freak of nature athletically. And also, I mean, he was also playing with Aaron Rodgers, which is a little bit different. But I do like the landing spot for Mingo because I think Bryce Young's going to be a great quarterback. So once I honestly can't answer this question right now. Once I get through that wide receivers to target and avoid series and get all the benchmarks that I need for Mingo, I'll make the determination at that point. Am I going to fade this guy completely? Am I going to get some shares here and there? Am I going to target him potentially? Right now, I'm of the belief that I'm going to get some shares here and there as long as he's going between 202 and 208 in some of my leagues. But if he starts going 111, 112, I'm not picking him there.
Yep. No, I agree with you there. You have where we left off. Okay, perfect. I'll look at the bottom for super chats. You keep up at the top.
Yeah, I'll just rip through these as fast as we can here. 1 quarterback, non-PPR league, AR15 or Kincaid at 108. You have Hurts already. I'd probably just take Kincaid if you need a tight end, but I don't mind just grabbing AR15 for the value there. In a one quarterback league, I think AR15's got a much higher value ceiling than Kincaid, so I'd probably go with him unless you really, really needed a tight end. Ed says, I pick 114, 16-team superflex. I guess you're a glutton for punishment. Got Mahomes and Tua. Do I take Hooker at 114? This is what happens in 16-team superflexes. People are going to take Hendon Hooker at 114. Or best player available.
What do I add to the 114 to get Lance?
I would get Lance if you can get. Yeah. I'm not even high on Lance, and I would in a 16-team superflex, I would rather have Lance than 114. And I would probably be willing to add a second rounder too.
Yeah, with ease, the quarterback position you have to rank Dotson and rank Dotson and Pickens to this wide receiver class. So I would take personally the 3 up top for sure. JSN, Addison, and Quentin Johnson. Then I would say Dotson, Pickens, Zay Flowers are kind of in their own mini tier. In terms of my actual rankings, where exactly they would find their way. So if we're looking at my dynasty rankings, let me just take a little peek here. Zay Flowers currently my wide receiver 31 in dynasty. Jahan Dotson is 27 and George Pickens is 33. So I basically have Flowers right in between Dotson, Flowers, and then Pickens for me personally. But I think you can argue that order pretty interchangeably.
That's exactly how I'd rank them too. I'd have it JSN, Addison, QJ. All those guys are in my top 24 dynasty wide receivers right now. Jahan Dotson is my wide receiver 28 in dynasty. Zay Flowers is my wide receiver 30, and George Pickens is my wide receiver 35. So they'd all be kind of in that same range as well. We already mentioned that. Has Mechie's stock risen with? I mean, once he gets on the field, his stock is definitely going to go up a little bit. And I would say it helps him that CJ Stroud's going to be the quarterback there.
Absolutely.
I think we already answered that. Sitting also, at the 110 with no picks till 309. What's up?
Sorry, quickly wanted to add too. Another big winner of it is that the only wide receiver they added was Tank Dell, and
they added Xavier Hutchinson as well. Don't sleep on him. No,
fair. Okay. Bad. But like outside watch, it's not like they added a JSN, a Jordan Addison, a QJ, like a real threat for targets. Because I mean, John Mechie was. I mean, if you combine the last 2 draft classes, John Mechie is the best wide receiver prospect they have taken in the last 2 years.
which is pretty bad, to be honest, considering where they've been picking.
Yep.
Because I think they could have picked better receivers in last year's class, right? Pickens was on the board, was he not?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of screwed the pooch on that one. I think Sky Moore was on the board too. Not that he's been great, but at the time I would have picked Sky Moore for sure over John Mechie.
Yeah.
Sitting at 110 with no picks until 309. Need wide receivers. You do not need anybody in the month of May. You need them in September when we have to play games. Fall just shy of the first round, thinking 110 for 201, 203, 208. I think that's a good trade though. 201, 203, and 208 for 110. There's really no difference between 110 and 201 in my opinion. So I think that's a great trade, honestly, to get some depth pieces.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Sending Saquon and 212 for Olave, and how are you getting Olave plus for Saquon here? That's an easy move there. A Cade in there. No shot you can take. Okay, yeah. Curtis Samuel is win now. Oh, Debo Samuel. There you go.
Oh, by the way, quick update. So some of the trades you get offered in some leagues when on the clock are just ridiculous. Just got an offer of Joe Mixon and Romeo Dubs for the 103. I wonder what I'm gonna do there.
Yeah, it's not exactly what we want. It looks like we have quite a bit of comments left. We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes, so I'm probably going to sign off here because we're not going to get through all of these. There's like a ton of comments here. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter. Feel free to reach out to us in Discord. Again, flockfantasy.com/FSE is how you can get our rankings. If you guys have a rookie draft coming up, again, also fantasy football consultations are $5 off right now using the promo code rookie, which is linked down below in the description. And again, there's a number of ways you can get after us. Reach out to us on Twitter, Discord, like I said. Like, comment, subscribe if you guys enjoyed this stream as well. If you found it helpful, go back and rewatch it if you want to check out some of the value pockets and rookie drafts and you want a sense for ADP. But with that being said, peace out and we'll talk to you soon.